welcome to WRPB Studios and WRPB. You know, I got to tell you, when you figure out how many people have pets, it's unbelievable. But how many people have dogs, it's even more unbelievable. With me is Priscilla Eagleson from Cut and Cuddle Mobile Paw Spa.
Yes.
And I had to get it out at the beginning before I screwed it up. Okay, so my first question is, how long are you doing this?
I've been doing it for 18 years.
Okay, why? What got you into this?
Well, I've always wanted to work with animals.
Okay.
I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then I went and worked at PetSmart, and then I seen the grooming aspect of things, and I asked to be transferred in there, and I went in there, became a bather, and then I just realized this is what I want to do.
You know, grooming is an art.
Yes, it is.
You know, people think art, they think pictures. There's so many, cooking is an art. Okay? Photography is an art, filming is an art. Professions have art, and yours is an art. How many pictures do you see of these dogs coming out with ribbons in their hair and their toenails painted and all kinds of stuff? How do you know what kind of cut to give a dog?
It varies. Now, you have your standard breed, standard cuts, usually that they do for like shows and things like that for
Right.
purebreds, and each cut has a purpose for that breed. And then you just have like your regular pet trims where they don't want the actual breed trim. They just want something simple, clean, more manageable. Then you just pretty much the customer just says, tells you about how long they want it or gives you an idea of how they want their face to look. And you try to do that the best you can with the dog that you have as far as like the hair and texture and things like that goes.
Okay, so does the seasons change the cuts that people come in and ask for?
Yes, it very well can. It really just depends on where you live. I mean, if you're in more like a colder climate, chances are the hair is going to be left longer and fuller. Where when you come to like where we're at in Florida,
Right.
I mean, you get the people come from north. They come down and like, oh, my dog's just too hot down here. I need them shorter. Then they'll bring them down short, or they come in more often to get more like de-shedding, the undercoat removed, things like that, so they can manage the heat better.
Do you just do dogs?
I do cats as well.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, so I have cat, and I've had cats. I've had dogs too. And the coolest thing on a cat is a lion cut. Okay? So I had a cat that if it heard a noise, it would run and hide. Went to the groomer and got a lion cut. She was the queen of the house. People come in, she would mosey around. Cats got to be a little more difficult to do.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess because of their nails and their scratching and they don't like bathing. I mean.
Yes, well, cats generally don't like water.
Right.
Cats are very temperamental. If it's not something they're normally subjected to at a very young age on a regularly basis, it can make grooming very hard or almost impossible to do.
Right.
Like I said, when cats get in water, they can just flip out and and just be like, no, I'm wet, Or and then like with cutting them, you're working with blades and scissors and stuff like that, and you got a cat that's trying to that is trying to scratch you or hissing at you and trying to bite you and things like that, and moving around, just being aggressive in a way, it can kind of get a little scary. So
I would think so.
And cat bites, you always tend to end up in having to be on antibiotics and stuff with cat bites because of the bacteria in the mouth. So you gotta be very careful.
I have a cat. My philosophy is always rescue an animal. Okay, so my cat loves to sleep in the sink, not with any water. Okay, and she also jumps into the bathtub and tries to lick where the water comes out in the sink in the bed. But turn on the water, she's 8 miles away. 8 miles away. Okay, so my question now becomes, who is easier to do a cut on? What breed is the easiest to work with?
There's not necessarily an easy breed. It's more or less the temperament of the dog. I don't necessarily have a favorite breed that I like to groom. I like all of them.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I love them all. It's just I'd probably say like sometimes the smaller ones, maybe
Easy
like a
maneuver around?
Yorkie, yeah, like your Malteses and Shih Tzus. You get a lot of those. Those are fairly easy to groom. Like your Schnauzers can be easy to groom. As far as like the cut and stuff go, if you're doing like the show cut. But for the most part, I mean, if you have a very well-behaved dog and it's kept up on a regularly basis in the maintenance, then they're usually pretty much always pretty easy to groom.
I'm a Golden Retriever fan. Even though German Shepherds, and I would never get a German Shepherd, just the German Shepherd stance and groomed properly looks pretty amazing.
Yes.
Okay, amazing, just great looking dog. And then I learned that there's a dog called a Malinois. Never knew anything about a Malinois. So, okay, so you're a mobile grooming.
Yes.
So I call you up and I say, hey, I got a dog, I need a groom. What questions are you going to ask me before you come over?
I usually ask, what breed is your dog? And then I ask where you're located. And then we discuss what it is you're actually looking to have done. Whether you're just wanting a bath de-shed, if you're wanting a full haircut, those kind of topics. And then we go and, okay, then I ask if there's like any health issues and things like that I should be aware of prior.
What about their nails?
Their nails, I usually ask, how the dog's with the nails, or sometimes they'll be like, he's not very good with nails. Are you okay with that? And I generally tell them, well, I am kind of by myself. I do what I can, but if they're overly aggressive and they just won't let me do it, I won't stress the dog out.
Okay. Interesting point. And that's called stressing.
Yes.
So, like humans, animals stress.
Yes, they do.
Dogs now are going to be groomed. A prime example is most of you guys who have animals, take them to the vet. They seem to have this sixth sense that they're going to the vet, and they stress.
Yes.
What changes in dealing with a dog in a stress period for you as a groomer? Does it make it harder for you?
No. Well, with me being mobile, I have found that the dogs are a lot less stressed being mobile than they are versus as if they went to like a vet or if they went into a salon. Sometimes salons can be very busy. I've been a salon groomer for 17 years. Wow. So I'm very adept to it. And then, it's not, and sometimes they can become very busy. And some dogs, they can be overwhelmed, stimulation and things like that. So that's when mobile comes in hand with those types of dogs.
Well, they're on their home court. So
yes,
they feel
they're at home. Well, they're at home, and there's not a whole bunch going around. They're just with you and the dog. You're in the van or the bus, however you have it, the trailer, and you just go in there, and it's just a one-on-one. It's usually very quick. Usually, if it's a small dog, probably about no more than an hour. And it's just a straightforward. I mean, they don't have other dogs barking. They don't have all the commotion going. So, and you just get to know the dog, and the dog gets to know you.
Do you groom in the house, or do you groom?
No, I do not groom in house. I actually purchased a bus and built the bus out myself.
Did you?
Yes.
So you drive this big bus?
Yes, I drive a big bus.
Were you like nervous when you first got it?
Yes, I was. I mean, I've driven the actual mobile grooming vans that are done custom.
Right.
But then I just they're very expensive. So I was just like, you know what? I can do this myself.
That's great.
Yes, I can do this myself. I did all my research, and I was like, you know what? I went out and just went for it. I went and financed a bus, and I built it out myself.
That's
amazing. Then while I was on maternity leave, I was just like, you know what? I have a baby now. I need freedom. I need to be able to make my own schedule and stuff like that. So I just went for it.
That's great. You know what? I tell everybody, you can make $1 million selling paper clips if it's your dream and it's what you want to do.
Yes.
And that's great. And we were just talking, I was at a meeting today, that the majority of things today are entrepreneur businesses.
Yes.
Not big companies anymore. More entrepreneur businesses than anything. So, who's your clientele? Is it like, a lot of people might think that, oh, you have to be wealthy to have your pet groomed. Is that true?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's the ones that my clientele are the people that need need it right away, kind of like not necessarily. It's more it's convenience.
Right.
Like they can't get out of their house, for whatever reason, or they're just too busy to be able to have to drive the dog to the to the groomer,
Drop
and
'em
then
off,
yes,
come back.
yes, and then come back and get them, or they're there all day, and the dog feels like it's shaking, stressed. So I found with mobile grooming that it's like a convenience thing, and believe it or not, my clientele is more the middle class versus the higher class.
Okay, I have to ask you this.
Okay.
You gotta have run into people that look at their dog like, I'd rather look at my dog than people.
Mm-hmm.
This is my family.
Yes.
And the dog gets better treatment than a guest or even family members.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That is actually more common than what you think. Yes, I have been there myself with my dogs.
How many dogs do you have?
I have 3.
Okay. What kind of dogs do you have?
They're all rescues.
Okay,
so
cool.
they're small dogs.
I have a cat bigger than your dogs.
Yes, you probably do. So, and I have it's a min pin. It's
Okay.
a red min pin.
I have one.
And then I have he's a little 7-pound little mix of like 5 different breeds.
Okay.
Like a Chiweenie, Chihuahua, Jack Russell, that kind of thing. And then I actually have his brother. I went and picked up his brother from, it was a friend of mine that actually ended up having the puppies where I got him from. So, and she couldn't take care of him, so it was like, all right, my mother needed a pet. So I was like, you know what, hers passed away. Let me go pick him up. And then, so I went and got him for her, and they look nothing alike.
So,
Similar.
okay, so you said so. You got him for her, but did you end up keeping it? Or did you end up giving it to her?
Yeah, no, I gave it to her.
Okay.
Yes, and then I ended up inheriting him. So yeah, so I ended up inheriting him, and I just couldn't do it. He's just the sweetest dog ever. And I mean, like when you look at him, like yeah, they're litter mates. Or like, how is that possible? He's just 14-pound, looks like a Chihuahua head with a big Jack Russell dachshund body, and he's this little tannin thing. You're just like, there's no way there's no way. I'm like, well, that's what happens when you mix breeds.
That's right.
You never know what you're gonna get.
We're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a phone number?
Yes, I have a phone number. I have big letters on my bus on the window, and then I have Facebook.
You're on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook, and
Which is Cut and Cuddle?
Cut and Cuddles Paw. Cut and Cuddles Spa.
Cut and Cuddle, so it's cut down to Cut and Cuddle
Yeah,
Spa.
yes. Cut
Just
and
to make it
Cuddles
easier. And your number was on the screen, guys. Look, here's what I get out of the whole scenario. I personally would rather someone come to my house, my pet not be stressed out. I hate putting my pet in the car, dragging them out, because they know. They know if they're going to the beach. They know if they're going to the vet. So stressing them out is probably a nightmare. And I think that being around their home territory is going to make them feel better. When they come out, they're right there at home again. And you don't have to go, drop them. Hopefully they're okay. Pick them up. It gets to be a pain. So I want to thank you for 2 things. One, for coming on, and I want to thank you for taking the vision of doing what you wanted to do and stick it out. When I started this industry 25 years ago, everybody said it's a pipe dream. Don't be stupid. Get a real job.
Yep.
And what that told me was, you could do it. They don't know what they're talking about. Prove them wrong.
Yes.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. So 25 years later, I'm still here.
Yep.
So I love when people are willing to take that jump, give up where they could probably make more money, and do their own thing.
Yes.
But it is nice to be able to say,
Yes.
you know what? I got to take today off. I'll just not book anything for today.
Exactly.
So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Everybody will be right back.